Just a quick channel update today, and I've had a few comments from people who think this channel was finished. That's certainly not the case. I do intend to continue. It's just that I have a very busy life and I can't commit to a regular schedule. I never quite know when videos will be made. It might be on consecutive days, or there might be a lapse for several days. My wife has this usual Asian obsession with children's education, so whenever we're all in the house together, she gets the children studying and I get dragged into that. She works full time and she runs my daughter around to tutoring classes on Saturdays and Sundays. I'm responsible for my son. I take him to school and pick him up, and in between that I have to do all the jobs in the house, and quite often I have very little time to do this sort of thing. I also run another YouTube channel which needs updating. And although the other channel is more successful in terms of statistics and money, I actually think that this one is more sustainable in the long term. So don't worry, this channel will keep going. But as I said earlier, I can't commit to a regular schedule and I'm never quite sure when I'm going to be able to make new content. Cheap massage is one of the benefits of living in Thailand, and I go for massages and foot massages probably once a week. I find it quite a good way to relax. And last week I went for a rather good foot massage, and I always talk to the girls, and the story I get is almost exactly the same every time. The girl meets a Thai man, gets pregnant, has a baby. As soon as the baby arrives, the Thai man doesn't want responsibility and goes off and finds someone else. She's left with the baby. He doesn't support her in any way. She gets her parents to look after the child and then goes off to another part of the country to earn money and then sends money back. So it's a story I've heard hundreds of times. However, the conversation with this lady did turn out to be a bit different. She was 43, and when I asked her what she did before, she told me she was a teacher. And when I asked which subject, she told me Thai. The last video was still on my mind, so I asked her the question about the implied vowels and how Thais know that there's an implied vowel in some words, but not in others. Her answer was simply that Thais are taught that certain words have implied vowels. And that confirms something that I've thought for a long time, is that if a Thai sees an unfamiliar word that they've never seen before, they won't know if that word has an implied vowel or not. So if you have problems, don't worry, because the Thais don't know either. My daughter's real name has an implied vowel, and I got further confirmation on one occasion when a Thai read it and he didn't include the implied vowel because he wasn't familiar with that name. So it's basically a case of having to know words to know whether they have implied vowels or not. But English is just the same, and I actually think it's far more difficult for a Thai to learn English than it is for an English speaker to learn Thai. The letter combination O-U-G-H has many different pronunciations depending on the word, and there are no rules, you just need to know the word. The U in put has different sounds to the U in but. If a Thai comes across a U in an unfamiliar word, how do they know which sound it makes? If a word begins with C, is that the same as the C in cat, the C in ceiling, or the C in cello? And G, is that the same as the G in girl or the G in ginger? English is very confusing. Thai isn't perfect, but most of the time it's far more accurate phonetically than English. Here's another student textbook example teaching students how to read implied vowels in words. And at the top it says Atibai, explain, comes up vocabulary tiyak. That is difficult. So if you thought it was difficult, don't worry, because Thais think this is difficult as well. As with the last example, it gives you the actual spelling on the left-hand side. In the centre column is the phonetic spelling, and here the implied vowels are actually written. And on the right-hand side, it gives you the meaning. I found my children's textbooks to be really useful, but they're not suitable for absolute beginners. If you didn't know anything about reading Thai, this page won't mean much. But by the time you can read and understand a little, you can start to see what they're trying to explain, and then it becomes useful. If you're in Thailand, student textbooks are really easy to find and really cheap. But if you're outside of Thailand, obviously it's going to be quite difficult. Someone asked about worksheets. Hello, Brooke. And in my early videos, I did mention worksheets, and I gave a link below the video. But then I had to remove that link, and I actually removed the page that you can see now, which had links to all of the individual worksheets. And the reason for that is that my website statistics showed me that people were coming to the site and just downloading these worksheets thousands of times without giving me any support, without looking at any pages on the site. They were just using the site for free worksheet downloads. I wasn't very happy about this, so I changed the structure of my website. You can still download the worksheets for free, but the links are in the individual tutorials. The one page with links to all the worksheets no longer exists. So here's an example. This is the tutorial for the consonant War-Wan, and in that tutorial there's a link to the worksheet for War-Wan, and it's the same with all the tutorials. Within each tutorial, there will be links to the vowels and consonants that are covered in those individual tutorials. Finally, thanks for all your comments, suggestions, and words of encouragement. This channel may not have many subscribers, but it's turning into a great little community, and I'm really appreciative of that. In a previous video, I've explained how I've always practiced Thai just by walking around the streets reading signs. I'm a bit of an obsessive sign reader. It's a good way to learn. I find just sitting indoors with books a bit boring, and this enables me to sort of carry on my real life and practice reading Thai at the same time. However, if you don't live in Thailand, it's a bit of a problem. Another one of my subscribers, Pak Chi from the Netherlands, told me he does basically the same thing while at home in the Netherlands using Google Street View. And I thought that was a great suggestion. So with Street View, you can just wander around the streets of Bangkok finding signs to read. And I hadn't thought of that before, but it's a really excellent idea. Regarding content, I can always think of things to do, but I'm never quite sure if it will be useful to my viewers. So if there's something you're not sure about or something you want to know more about, just leave a comment under one of the videos and I'll try to make some more videos to answer your questions. If you can give me that feedback, it really does help me. Thanks again for watching. Thanks for being a great community, and hopefully there'll be another video fairly soon.